Well, hello there. I'm going to give everybody a minute to just kind of log in because sometimes we need to do that. But hello and thank you for coming to the Hypno Fairy Godmother Show. I am Shirley, a clinical hypnotherapist with a private practice here in Southern California, an advocate and mental health first responder here at Whispering Zen Hypnotherapy and Wellness. Thank you for coming to the show. Like I said again, I'm so glad that you found me. And do you ever wish you could more freely enjoy a healthy habit or just get back to feeling like a better you? Then let's talk. And although I specialize working with the LGBTQIA community, I welcome and I work with everyone. So if you need help, I am here. I am here to help you. And you can book online at any time at whisperingzenhypnotherapy.com, or you can contact me through any of my social media contacts. I'm on pretty much everything. I'm on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and all that stuff. And just look for Hypno Fairy Godmother Show. And I respond to everybody as quick as I can to let you know that you're not alone and you are out there. So thank you again for joining me and seeing how, we can work on our mental health. So before we get going today, you know how I start the show. I want everybody in a wonderful, safe place. So no driving, working with heavy machinery, working on a job or a big account or some project that you're supposed to be finishing up. That is not the point. We don't want to do that. And so I don't want you to be doing anything like that. If you are, you can always re-listen to the show later. I'm all about the safe places. So if you are in a safe place, first thing I want you to do is take a nice deep breath. Hold it. And exhale with a smile, because that's how we should start every deep breathing thing. So for this next part, I got this from my friend Roger, and I've just sort of played with it, and he lets me use it, and it's wonderful, and you know what I'm about to do, I hope. If not, let's play along. So the first thing I want you to do is wiggle those toes. I said wiggle your toes. Inside your shoes, outside of your shoes, I don't care. Today, I'm outside of my shoes because I'm feeling pretty warm today. But it's up to you. I know some of you are in like heavy snow or ice or whatever. So, no reason to freeze off the toes. So the next thing I want you to do is wiggle your butt. That's right, I said it. Wiggle your butt. Squeeze in those cheeks. You can squeeze in your thighs too, but squeeze in your cheeks. And I love doing that because it gets you moving a little bit, and you can't do it without smiling. And I can't look at somebody and go, you wiggle your butt, without smiling. And it's a wonderful thing to do to just kind of get your muscles moving. So we're going to take one more nice deep breath. And this time, as we exhale, we're going to say a wonderful affirmation. Like, I got this. It's going to be okay. We can keep doing this. Because sometimes you're trying to make it through the day. Sometimes you're just trying to make it through the next hour. And I understand that. So just by saying something easy like, we got this, then we can continue on and things will be so much easier. And if you've got a little extra time, then I want you to, kind of move your ankles, maybe your legs, get your core moving, roll your shoulders, maybe your neck just a little bit. Oh yeah. Feel it. And in just this short amount of time, you have now loosened up everything from your toes to your nose and above. And we are ready to start working on our mental health and seeing what we have going today. I want to do like this short little thing and thank AnnieShirley.com, who are excited to announce that they have their newest Hubble Bubble Tiny Toes books, both What's a Chakra and Hubble Bubble Zodiac for Kids, now available for sale on AnnieShirley.com. And if you'd like to become a sponsor of the show or help keep us going, you can always buy me a coffee. Just text me or email me to say hi. You can contact me on whisperingzenhypnotherapy.com or join my Patreon page because I love my Patreons. They help me more than they know. Just to know that there are people out there that support me, and I need people out there. Like, we all need people. That's kind of the cool thing. And if you didn't know, I started doing some short videos on TikTok, which sometimes help explain things, sometimes just reinforce things. So you can also follow me there, and we know where to find me at Hypno Fairy Godmother Radio. So, as we have talked about numerous times with being a hypnotherapist, it is all about the mental health. It is all about the mental health and how to maintain it. So I thought today I'm going to go to a different topic that I don't think I've ever discussed before, which is unusual because I've discussed a lot of things on this show in the last almost 2 years. So, this is all about taking care of you and trying new things. So, with new times and new time of the year still technically comes new adventures. And I don't mean resolutions, because we've discussed that we don't do resolutions because they never really work. But trying new adventures, new things, doing things that you never thought you'd try before. It can be anything from a new job to doing something and trying something that you've always wanted to do. Last week, I actually added a couple new little adventures to my world, and I'm feeling pretty good about it. Nothing major, nothing earth-shattering quite yet, but just adding a couple things to my plate that make things a little bit easier. And honestly, it has helped me both mentally and physically, which is what adventure therapy should do. And adventure therapy, which I love, is it's how to take nature and new adventures and make them great for your mental health, and take a challenge that can help you see yourself in a new light. Adventure therapy is a discipline that uses nature, or if you're not really into nature, but a lot of this is about getting out and being, out there in the world, which can be really scary depending on where you live. But just little things, and taking yourself out of your routine and into nature can help reset your brain and raise those dopamine levels, which is what we want to do, and getting out into nature and doing new things and adventure isn't just good for the soul, which it is very good for the soul, but it can have a highly positive impact on your mental health, which is what I'm all about. So the benefits of a grand new adventure that can be outdoors or indoors are starting to be recognized throughout the globe. And there's an ex-MMA fighter who is now in Hong Kong, but she's a psychologist, and she divides her time between the city and Shanghai, and is a firm believer that there's such a value of taking yourself out of your routine, and into nature and into trying new things, because even she recognizes that sometimes you need to reset your brain and fire up different neural pathways and get yourself going. And when you're doing these great adventures, whether it's a small adventure or a huge one, it can help you so much with relief from mental fatigue, better concentration and focus. Who doesn't need that? Better physical and mental health and well-being. Those all sound really positive. A more positive outlook on everything. An enhanced ability to cope with stress and negative emotions. Because by getting you out of your normal routine, it helps you with what you need to know and helps you react a little bit easier, and it helps you honestly with more realistic goal setting, which is what we had been talking about, which is why we don't do resolutions, because you want to have realistic goal settings. So instead of putting so much pressure on yourself, you don't need to do that. And adventure therapy, this whole line of adventure therapy, has been shown through different types of research to be effective in treating Everything from mental health to addictions. Adventure therapy benefits are so wide ranging and apply to so many different aspects. And it's an active approach to more of a talk therapy, which a lot of people know about, or psychotherapy. This can be so much better for you. And it involves physically and emotionally challenging yourself, doing a lot more outdoor activities. Sometimes it's getting way out there, and sometimes it's just barely getting out there. But for you, if you really like to get out there, doing things like hiking and maybe camping or climbing, depending on how big you want your adventure to be. For some people, an adventure can just be walking around the block and seeing what's new out there and seeing who's out there. Just getting out there and experiencing it and experiencing life. And in doing so, you're making meaningful connections between the experience and what your life is like. It emphasizes whole person, healing and drawing on the assumption of innate goodness in mankind. Who doesn't need that? We all want to feel like there's positive things out there. And that's what this is about. This is about you feeling more confident and you feeling, that innate goodness and maybe going, mankind's maybe not too bad. It benefits, people struggling with addictions and mental health. And it helps with psychological healing, positive changes in behaviors and self-confidence that transfers along your whole entire life. And there's an educational theorist whose name is David Kolab. I probably massacred his last name, but he has a large body of work that focuses on experimental education as a catalyst for developing new skills through these concepts. And learning is the process, according to him, whereas knowledge is created through the transformation of experience. And in order for this type of therapy to be successful, he says that there are 4 different stages that we should think about. And one is the concrete experience, the act of engaging in a new situation and a new experience, which is just starting. Telling yourself maybe this is something that you want to do. Reflective observation, or actively observing the experience and reflecting on it. I did this. Now, how does that make me feel? How does that affect my life? Things like that. Abstract conceptualization, or the reflection of the experience, turning it into a new idea or concept, or a reevaluation of an old idea. Maybe once you get out there and you do this, you realize there are so many other things you can do. And you ask yourself, why haven't I done this before? What was I thinking that was stopping me? Or maybe active experimentation, or applying the old and reworking the idea in your own life and your perception of the world around you. How did this affect you overall? How did getting out there and doing something crazy and doing something that you've always wanted to do, how does that affect you? And this isn't something you have to do every single day. Heaven forbid. That I would never ask you to do that. But it's just something that is a new idea and a new concept. And adventure therapy helps benefit your self-confidence, your self-awareness. It involves working through challenges and engaging with risk and stress in healthy ways by building resistance and developing and applying coping strategies. And any way that we can use our experiences in the past to help you cope with new things, that's a positive thing. you know? And the benefits of adventure therapy are so far reaching that it gives people that do it the opportunity to experience positive and negative natural consequences of their decisions. Maybe by doing it, you realize, oh, well, this behavior isn't helpful to me, so I'm not going to do it again. Or it can help you in a positive way and go, now that I've done this, I'm ready to tackle this. And it could help you, tackle something that you've been really wanting to do and you've been self-doubting. We all self-doubt daily. Some of us self-doubt. So this is your way of not self-doubting. And according to researchers, you know how I love my researchers and things like that. And the information that I give you, I want to make sure that it's as accurate as possible. And I would never ask you to do something or ask you to believe in something unless I have, other people to back it up. That's really important to me. But University of Berkeley in California, go Berkeley, said that engaging with nature alone, just getting out into nature, and by nature, that can mean the beach, that can mean the woods, that can mean the mountains, that can mean pretty much anything, it helps reduce anxiety, depression, it improves your cognitive functions, and it increases your creativity. By experiencing new things and by adding these little adventures. And like I said, a lot of these adventures include going out, but maybe an adventure is a new job. Maybe a new adventure is, starting a new project. And it can be an artistic project. It can be a home project. A lot of those, when they talk about adventure therapy, they think a lot of outside things. But I know for some people, any type of new adventure, new training. I've started a new training that's helping me mentally and it's helping me cognitively. And I love that because it's keeping me going and it's helping me learn new wonderful things. And, when you work these adventures and you do them with people. So a lot of these times you can do this adventure, take somebody with you or join a group. There are so many groups that you can find on all social media. There are groups out there for everything. And there are groups out there that will break it down into different classifications. So if you a woman and you only want to deal with a women's group, you can find those. There are only men's groups. There are LGBTQ groups. I belong to a couple groups that are hypnotherapist groups. And yes, even as a hypnotherapist, which for some people may sound boring, we do things and we talk about retreats. I belong to another group that is mainly an LGBTQ group. And we do a yearly retreat. Sometimes it's in the mountains. This year, hopefully, we've been planning one for Joshua Tree. So, it's getting out there. But when you work with a group and those cooperative opportunities promote trust and mutual respect, positive interactions, deeper relationships. Innovative activities require the participants to take the initiative to communicate, to help solve problems and make decisions together so you don't feel like you're alone. Promoting cooperation or helping with your communication skills, and it involves participants that aren't, you may not know this group, but it helps promote trust. And, they involve you when you do these fun activities with extra people in them. You can do them alone, but when you add extra people, these activities promote healthy boundaries and, help develop self-confidence and your ability to support others in positive ways too. So again, it's one of those things where you're helping yourself and helping your soul and your mental health, but you're also helping other people with theirs. It enables people to participate and experience things, that may help with more trusting relationships, which are things that are always positive, and for some of you, this may be like, oh, she's going off the deep end on this. This is stressing me out just talking about it. But did you know that there is actually good stress? I know it's a weird concept, but there's actually good stress because not all stress is created equal. Stress is defined by any form of stimulation that causes elevated excitement. And we tend to avoid things that we think are going to be stressful. And there are some forms of stress that our brains, try to avoid totally, which makes incredible sense. And this sometimes includes new adventures. Sometimes you like to avoid things like scary movies or skydiving or, hiking, things like that, where you're out there. But individuals who experience these kinds of good stress, like going out and accomplishing something, have a more positive outlook on life, which is never a bad thing, having a positive outlook on life. And some research even indicates that experiencing types of good stress improve your response to overall all stresses. Think about that the more you get used to little types of good stress, where you figured out how to make things work, can help you when you experience bad stress. You can go back to what you've learned, those tips and tricks and things like that. And what you've learned from that experience can help you with new experiences. Your brain has several chemicals that all contribute to your overall sense of happiness and well-being. Endorphins, dopamine, serotonin, and the release of these chemicals can give you a rush, a total natural high. And Scientific America says new adventures have the element and the fear of like skydiving or roller coaster riding that causes your brain to release these feel-good chemicals, some of which can linger in your body for quite a while, creating a natural feeling of happiness. Who doesn't want that? It's these natural adrenalines that keep you going. I know a lot of runners that they know that if they make it past a certain point, all their endorphins kick in and they can just keep going. And even when they're done for the day or done for that particular run or route, that feeling sticks with them for the whole rest of the day, which is pretty cool if you think about it. One study, again a study, but found that endorphin levels were elevated by more than 200% after participants did weird things that honestly I would never do, but like bungee jumping. If that's your thing and you've always wanted to try bungee jumping or skydiving, those endorphins are just gonna fly out the window. For some of us, smaller adventures, a little bit easier adventures. For some, you start out by just going out and taking a hike. Start out by, exploring where you live. Depending on where you live, if you have a beach nearby that you've never gone to, or a strand. We have a strand by the beach, and it's really long, and we tend to walk a certain area. And, When you decide to go farther or start at a different point, you get to see things and experience things that you would have never thought of before, you know? And when you hit a certain point, those endorphins kick in, which is the greatest feeling, you know? Doing these adventures also improve resiliency, your ability to bounce back after difficult or traumatic experiences. And they may be increased by trying these thrilling and these new adventures. And when you seek out new adventures, you are actually improving your body's ability to adapt and return to normal following a major event in your life. A branch of psychology called positive psychology, which is what we should all look for, is somebody that if you are going to get mental health counseling, look for somebody that goes towards the positive. Like when I work with a client, I always do what's forward. Now, some people insist on going all the way back and bringing up all this trauma. And that's not something that you really, most people really need. So I work for forward thinking and positive psychology and positive therapies of any kind. Because when you seek out these new adventures, you're improving your body's ability to adapt. Resiliency. Researchers have found that new adventures can create new coping skills and increase your awareness of different stress levels, which are essentially more traits towards resiliency. People that skydive, those that have had a lot of skydive, they have a lot of jumps, like 25 or more jumps, have recovered more quickly from experiences, indicating that the more frequently that you engage in these activities, the more quickly you can bounce back from, stressful activities. And I'm not telling you to go out and start skydiving. What you decide to do. I know people that are roller coaster junkies and they do that, but I know people that like to climb mountains, and for them, a new, going up higher on the mountain or trying a more difficult route. Like I said, for some of us, just going outside and starting your adventure on one block and then adding it. Maybe where you work, when you get a lunch break or you get a break, explore your area. See if there's a park nearby. Take yourself completely out of your situation. Take that extra time, if you have any, let's hope you have some, to take that extra time and step out of where where you were. New adventures, by their very nature, mean doing activities outside your daily norm, and help with the monotony. It helps end the total monotony between boredom and feelings of depression. You seek out these new adventures by means that what that means is that you're breaking out of your boredom and your monotony, which will improve your mood, which is what we're trying to do. And even if you're feeling a little bit depressed, or you're feeling not like you're sliding, but you're just feeling like you're not having a great day, you're significantly more likely to, change your whole demeanor, change the way you feel by doing one of these little mini new adventures, these positive things. For some, a new adventure could actually be going to a museum, going to a gallery, going to a lot of places have, I don't know whether they have as many now as they used to, but a lot of locations have like whole block markets where they block off the street and there are vendors and they have kind of an art night. where you can see new artists and you can go into places and experience things that you have always wanted to do. We have once a month on Sundays here, we have a flea market and art market. Um, and it's fun to go down there because you get to see what's new. You get to get out of your monotony. You get to see the people around you. And it's not skydiving, but it's a new adventure. It's getting you out of where you were, it's getting you beyond what you were doing. You know, new adventures can make people happy and maybe start a little more active lifestyle. You know, one of the new adventures that I've taken on is a little more physical, one is a little more mental. Both are equally important to how I react to things. It's only been a couple weeks, but still, even in that short amount of time, you could notice a difference. You know, and if you've been on the fence about maybe taking a trip or trying something crazy like skydiving or roller coasters or going and maybe camping for the first time. I know it's a little cold in most places, so camping may not be a good thing. Um, but just, you know, maybe taking a walk around a nature trail. Maybe you have a park that has a trail on it that you've always wondered what that trail was. You know, do it in the daytime, be safe, but you're getting out there and, trying that new adventure, and consider the benefits of taking that leap on your mental health. Remember, we're all about the positive mental health here. The prospect of leaping and just taking that extra step, taking that first step, seems a lot less frightening when you know that that experience will be accompanied by that rush of chemicals in your body and in your brain that are going to make you feel amazing and alive, and it's going to be great because you're leaving your homes in some cases, which is something I've always recommended. And a new adventure can be something as, it can be crazy and totally stepping out of your comfort zone. It can be taking and just tipping your toe into something that's new. Trying something new, trying something a little more adventurous, taking a different route. When I go and, go somewhere, when I leave in my car, I love to take different routes because they're mentally stimulating. And that may not seem like a huge grand adventure. And it's not like jumping out of a plane, but it's still mentally stimulating because I'm seeing new things. It's like I know 3 ways to get to places that I know most common. Like I said, small adventure. It doesn't have to be, hiking to Everest. Although I do have an acquaintance that loves that and has gone to base camp a couple times, and he's attempting to train to do that again. That's a little too adventurous for me, but for some people that's the way to go. That's their thing, and that's amazing. And you're cultivating those memorable experiences. It's just, working on your mental health. Taking maybe a small walk can lead to longer and longer. Maybe there's, like I said, something near you, depending on where you live. I know some people don't have access to beaches or woods, but maybe they have access to a park. Maybe they have access to a place that does have maybe indoor skydiving. I know that there are places where you can do that. I know somebody who their new adventure was axe throwing. Yes, that is a real sport. And the adrenaline that they get from having an axe in their hand. They also do knife throwing in the same location, and it's actually an indoor area. But for them, that was getting out there. That was trying something new. And that adrenaline from having an axe in your hand or a knife in your hand and throwing it at a target. And they do it with a small group of people. And so now you have that little bit of competitiveness and just that little bit of drive to work a little harder. And she tells me that the endorphin levels are huge because, they're out there, they're doing something new. They never know who's going to be around them, kind of looking, and just walking into where they go and do this activity starts that adrenaline going from the minute that they leave their house in the car to go there to the center. And yes, I have been thinking about trying the axe throwing because, man, that seems like fun. Get out a little aggression, learn to handle slightly stressful situations. I'm not going to jump out of a plane, so, let's try the next best thing. But I do think it's important to add those little things. And the fact that it's so good for your mental health. That's why I try different subjects and different topics, because I don't want you to get into this mundane routine of the only way I can help my mental health is by deep breathing, which I totally believe in, or by, some other means. I want you to try new things. I want you to use your idea to gain more mental health and stuff, and try something new. Maybe your adventure is, starting something online. I mean, one of the things that I started, like I said at the beginning of the show, is I've started to do small TikTok videos. That was terrifying. It doesn't seem like a grand adventure, but it totally is, because that's something that I've never done before. It's a new adventure. It's totally mentally stimulating. But I consider it good stress instead of bad stress. And so when I get done and I hit post and I hit other things, the adrenaline rush of hitting that post button is amazing. And I would have never thought that. It's crazy. When I started posting stuff on YouTube, which my shows are always available. If you've missed something, they're always available on my Facebook page. They're always available on my YouTube page, just so that, you can calmly listen to them when you do have time, if you were in that non-safe place. And I always tell you before you start anything to take note of your mental state. Make sure that you're in a good place, that you've done your affirmations, because sometimes that's what you need. Like I said, for some of us, we're trying to make it through the week. For other of us, we're just trying to make it hour by hour. And that's okay. But we take note of our mental state. And if we need extra help and you feel like you need that extra help, make an appointment with somebody, or find a hotline, or find, you don't even, nowadays, if you need help with an issue, you don't even have to talk to somebody. You can actually do it by text. And there are still people out there that you can talk to. There are still people that can help you out no matter where you are, mentally or physically. And with the technologies that we have now, You can do your grand adventure, maybe something online. It won't get you out into nature, but it's still something new that's stimulating your brain and getting those endorphins flowing. If it's more physical, that's even a little bit better, but the little things that you need to do are so, so important, you know? And if you need help with your mental health or a loved one does, then always ask for help. Your mental health is the most important thing that you can worry about, that you can handle. Any type of condition that you're dealing with, contact a professional, whether it's a hypnotherapist, yay, um, or whether it's a full psychiatrist or psychologist, a talk therapist, an adventure therapist. Whatever you need to do, know that your life is a gift. It's a gift every single day. And we're out there to give you little pushes to help you make it through a little bit better. And if you get into one of these situations where you feel like you're a little overwhelmed, we can always go back to our normal tricks, like the 4-3-2-1 trick, which is finding 4 things you can see, 3 things that you can touch, 2 things that you can hear, and tell yourself 1 thing that you absolutely know. And you can do this anywhere. So let's say you started this new adventure, but you're starting to feel a little overwhelmed and your brain is starting to get overly stimulated. What you need to do is stop for just a second and focus on these things, and it'll bring you back to center, which is what we're always trying to do, especially with mindfulness, is to bring you back to center, and do, if you've got the time. Now, you're not going to have the time to do this, even the 3-minute, breathing space. If you're in the middle of, let's say, jumping out of a plane or on a roller coaster or whatever. But if you're hiking or if you're just trying something new, it's always important to check in with yourself. For some people, checking in with themselves is something that they've never done before. And even that can be in a new adventure, is making you aware of what's going on and spending that first minute just asking yourself, how am I doing? And if you're trying something new and you start to feel a little overstimulated, then you just go with the, how am I doing? Check in with yourself. Check yourself. I hate this saying, but check yourself before you wreck yourself. It's like, check in and ask yourself how you're doing. And then be aware of your breathing. I know that sounds a little strange, but be aware of your breathing. How fast you're breathing. Slow it down. You know that when we take deep breaths, we do it from our core. And we do that for a reason. The last minute is being attentive of how that breathing is affecting the rest of your body. You've checked in with yourself. Okay, so now I need to breathe and I need to calm things down a little bit so that I don't get overstimulated in the wrong way. So you start your breathing process, very important, and you're breathing from your core. Great. And what I want you to notice, or what you should be able to notice, is that with this breathing, that your breathing is slowed down, your heart has slowed down, maybe your brain has calmed down, shoulders have calmed down. You kind of get the idea that you're experiencing calmer and easier feelings. And the object is not to avoid your feelings. It's to have that feeling and experience it and go, it's okay. And even if you ask yourself, how am I doing? And you're like, I'm totally freaking out. You know what? Just by acknowledging that and acknowledging how you're feeling, you're actually going to calm down about it. I know that sounds counterintuitive, but you don't want to sit there and go, I'm freaking out, I'm freaking out, I'm freaking out, I'm freaking out. You just go, okay, I'm not doing well. I acknowledge that. Now, what do I need to do to make it better? What do I need to do so that I can continue with what I need to do? And do, the 3-minute breathing if you've got the time to do that. Focus on the things around you, the 4, 3, 2, 1 we just went over. If you can't do 4, 3, 2, 1, just do 3, 2, 1. Whatever it takes. Sometimes you just need to tell yourself a positive affirmation. Tell yourself something I'm going to be fine. Something as mundane as I'm going to be fine. I have affirmations everywhere, and some of them I've come up with myself. Some of them I've borrowed from other people. You never not use an affirmation just because somebody else used it first. These are things that you use, and I've got them on Post-it notes everywhere. And I've started adding affirmations that have to do with my new adventure. So you're kind of twofering it, and you're like, I can do this. I have the ability to do this. I have the want to do this, and I know I can. It's not easy. None of this is easy. If your new adventure is just starting slow and taking care of yourself, maybe that's a new adventure for you. You never thought about taking care of yourself before. I know that sounds strange, but a lot of people never think of themselves first. And if your new adventure for the year or your new adventure for the day or the week or whatever, if that's just taking you first, thinking about you first, then that's the greatest adventure. That's an awesome adventure. Is just starting and thinking about you. And it's amazing. It's amazing what can happen. So please always take note of your mental state. Be mindful of things around you. Be mindful of your atmosphere. Be mindful of the people around you. Make sure that there are positive influences. If you're around people that don't make you happy, and I know we can't always make sure 100% that we're around people that make us happy, but if you're miserable all the time, then you need to take yourself out of that situation. You need to do that for yourself mentally and physically and emotionally, maybe spiritually. Always take note of your mental space and know that you're it. You have to take care of you first. You get one shot at this. You get one shot at this life. And it's so important to make yourself happy. And it takes a long time to get to that point for you to actually acknowledge that you're important. So maybe your new adventure is just taking care of you first. Crazy, huh? Taking care of you. It sounds like a beautiful adventure. So I want to thank you, all of you, wherever you may be. Thank you for listening today. And it has been a pure pleasure for me to be even a little part of your journey. And I hope that it's been calming and soothing and maybe a little bit funny. And mostly I hope that wherever you are, that you're leaving a little bit closer to who you want to be. And you've got some new ideas as to what you want to do. I'm Shirley again, your Hypno Fairy Godmother, a clinical hypnotherapist, activist, and mental health first responder at Whisperings in Hypnotherapy and Wellness. And I work together with my clients, maybe you if you want to be one of those clients, and we work as a team to find the best way to get you back to feeling like you, which is what we're all about, without fear, without habit, without stress and worrying about it. And I work online. So I can help you wherever you're at, which is wonderful. And I understand that hypnosis isn't for everybody, but we can always see if we can work together, I'm Shirley, clinical hypnotherapist again. And if you want a consultation or you want to get a hold of me, you can always do that at whisperingzenhypnotherapy.com, or you can find me on any of my social media sites under Hypno Fairy Godmother or Hypno Fairy Godmother Radio Show. It has been a real and total pleasure with you being with you today. So remember, one last time, we're going to take a nice deep breath from your core. Hold it. Exhale with a smile. So thank you all for tuning in. Tell your friends about the show. Let's grow this and get everybody's mental health going. And I promise I will see you next week. Have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful week.